As our world faces one of the largest global disruptions since the Second World War, many wonder when we will get back to normal. But with every disruption, there is never a back to normal. In most cases, it becomes our new normal. So joining me now to talk about what businesses can be doing about getting ready for the new normal is Carl Neggers. He is the CEO of SM Solutions. Carl, nice to have you.
Nice to be here, Joe. Thanks.
So let's just get right into it. And, I guess, what is it that businesses should be doing to discover what the new normal is?
It's interesting that it takes a pandemic for us to kind of wake up universally, I guess, to the reality that everything's changing all the time. And normally, businesses should be not only trying to maintain its current position in the market space and trying to maintain its current cash flows, but good businesses need to continue to advance their position in any market space because they're changing all the time. So when someone says to me, what's the new normal? There is really no real new normal. Things should always be somewhat abnormal in your business world and in your life. For you to progress in your business and to progress your business or to progress yourself personally and professionally, you can't stay in the same spot. You need to expand your position by advancing it all the time to maintain your relevance in what is an emerging space, as we know to be the marketplace, eh?
So, I guess there's a lot of concern now, obviously, with bottom lines. For a lot of businesses, it's been 6 weeks or more without potentially any cash flow. So how do you balance that off with trying to look ahead and try to figure out, well, where is my business going, particularly if it's a bricks and mortar kind of business?
Well, I feel for companies that are suffering under this current situation because it's truly something that I certainly have not witnessed while I've been on the planet. It's one of the major events of my lifetime and probably many others. So for businesses now, what I would encourage, you have this great opportunity to take some time to reflect on how you were doing your business, but more importantly, to look into the future and see how you need to do your business. And I'll just use a quick metaphor. I remember when I started going to the gym so many years ago, and in the first few weeks, it was really hard, right? And I was finding all sorts of reasons not to go, right? I was hurting. I was not as motivated as I was when I was first started. Things were getting a bit routine. And an individual came and said, Carl, you know what? If you can make it past 6 weeks, you're never going to not come to the gym because you've trained your body to expect this. This becomes something that it needs, that it nourishes. It nourishes not only your physical body, but your spiritual body and your intellectual abilities. So I did get past the 6 weeks and I've never stopped. And that's over 25 years ago. So I'm encouraging businesses, if you have 6 to 8 weeks of changed behavior, you're probably going to meet a clientele that has changed permanently. So the clients that you had won't be the clients that you will receive in what you're hoping will be your new normal after the pandemic. The reality is they have exposed themselves to all sorts of new technologies, all sorts of new ways of doing business. Your employees, your clients, and your community are going to expect something different from you as a business owner and a business provider. So you have to think boldly in this time where you've been given this opportunity to breathe and to think and to reinvent what your proposition will be in that new future.
So how do businesses do that? Like what should they actually be doing in terms of trying to answer some of those questions?
Well, look at their own behaviors. If you look at fast food facilities, you look at grocery stores, they've changed their service proposition already, and it's highly unlikely they're going back. Businesses that used to meet face-to-face are now meeting virtually on video conference using all sorts of platforms. Um, People's working behaviors, they're not going into the office, they're working from home. They're finding that they develop new ways and means of managing how they do work in their homes, and likely are going to be resistant to go back to a place, right, that causes them time on the road, traffic, time away from their families. They're reinventing how they feel and how they respond. So will businesses. So if they view those things, they need to look at the artifacts, the artifactual behavior that they have resident in their organization, such as the expectation that people come to an office place, right? And maybe rethink, maybe our service proposition doesn't meet that. And in the meantime, what does that do to the bottom line? If I don't have infrastructure that I have to pay rent on, all we need is infrastructure and connectivity, and we can save all that overhead. Our profit margins just went up. And if it makes our employees happy and our clients better served, then our profitability likely goes up because we've got employees that are committed to our service proposition as an employee. We've got customers referring our services to others because they're telling them what it does for them in terms of saving time, saving money, saving distraction, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering though, with a lot of these businesses, change is always a difficult thing, and especially if you're migrating from a bricks and mortar kind of operation to, again, trying to adopt some of these technology like video conferencing or e-commerce, whatever it is. Do you have any advice in terms of, because obviously that seems pretty daunting for a lot of businesses. I'm wondering if you have any suggestions or advice in terms of how to kind of move forward, because it's easy to look at that and it's a pretty big mountain to climb.
Yeah, what's funny, George, is that these vehicles, these applications, these platforms have existed for many, many years. These are not new. If they were new, we wouldn't be using them. They've been around. They just haven't been leveraged. And I think what happens is companies, in some cases, become very complacent with status quo behaviors, and they resist. And a good example, I deal with clients all the time, and the interest of some clients to migrate to new ways and means of doing things, they resist it. And I say to them, the challenge you're going to face is if you don't leverage these things, you're not taking advantage of the efficiency options that they provide. Plus, the new generation that's coming up, they were birthed with this, right? So if you're rejecting it, you're really making a statement to them that you're not a company of choice. You're really not in their preferred realm. And if you're looking for the brightest minds to provide or develop products and provide the services that your business is trying to offer to a community that's littered with millennials, you're likely not going to be in business very long, because you're going to slowly erode your capacity and your relevance in your market space. So I encourage the businesses that are slow to adapt to these new ways to start to look at ways and means of taking advantage of it. And no better than the current example, because it's forced many of these business owners and these businesses into utility of these platforms. So don't go backwards, move forward.
So, Carl, I'm wondering, what do you see in terms of what opportunities, I guess, this pandemic has given us?
Well, it's interesting, George. If you look at the needs of business, and I've talked about this a lot with you in the past about businesses needing to maintain their current position, protect their current cash flows, but at the same time, they need to advance their position in search of future cash flows. Because holding on to today doesn't get you to a stronger tomorrow. You need to reposition yourself. So if we look at the pandemic, which is virus-based, it's an interesting study from a business perspective, because a pandemic suggests that this virus is expanding its market space. It's looking for greater market share. It's infecting people, and that's not a good thing, because people are being harmed, right? Families are being harmed, and that's problematic. But if we look at it from a constructive perspective, just to learn from it, we look at viruses and they don't stay static. They continue to morph in their market space to take advantage of what the market is offering it in terms of its ability to infect and invade and take a host and take advantage of the host position. So if we can learn from the business side, from a virus, I think the pandemic is a classic example of what businesses need to consider all the time is just because you have a space in the market doesn't mean that you're going to have relevancy in that market space if you continue to act in the same way. You need to continue to look at your market space and allow yourself to advance and encourage yourselves to advance in that position by using all the new technologies, new ways and methods, reinventing your products, looking at new ways to serve clientele. And I think if you can maintain and advance at the same time, you will resemble a pandemic. You will become a very strong market. You'll have a stronger market presence.
Some good advice. Thank you so much. We're out of time, Carl. Thank you for all your insights, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks, George.